it going, everybody? This is Top Driver. I hope you're having a great day, and welcome back to another video. Alright, it's time for another edition of Random Thoughts. In this series, I talk about whatever is on my mind, whether it's something interesting in the world, or personal story that I want to share, or if I just want to rant about something. And this is going to be in the form of a rant as to why I think it's absurd that we are the only state in the entire country that literally is not allowing their own citizens to refuel their own cars. That's right, New Jersey is the one and only state right now in the US that does not allow its own people to fuel their cars when they have to. And to be honest with you, I feel like it is time to completely stop that. I'm going to rant a little bit about why I think this is a little bit ridiculous and why I think it is time for New Jerseyans to be allowed by their own state to fuel their own cars. Now obviously, as we all know, we're on the road quite a bit nowadays. Obviously, whenever we're traveling to work, and obviously we're traveling to, celebrate a good time with our friends, go to a sporting event, maybe even a concert or something like that. A lot of the times, unless we're taking the bus to get there, we're usually driving ourselves there, and sometimes that usually involves a lot of miles to be able to get from our homes along to our destination, and also to back as well. And so obviously, because of the amount of mileage that we're having to go through to get to our destinations, obviously it is very important that we have enough fuel in our car so that way we can be able to get to our destination and back. And ultimately, there will be at least a couple of gas stations nearby to allow us to do so, and usually we want to find the cheapest price there, obviously. But the thing is that unlike other states, we have a very unfortunate distinction. Now obviously, with all the other states around the United States, usually there would be some attendants at the gas stations. However, there are laws that are allowing people to get out of their cars and literally refuel their own cars if they don't feel like they should wait for the attendant to come get them. In fact, there's also a couple of stations where they can really adjust the air on their tires and maybe do some other work on their cars and stuff like that. That's the thing that usually all of the other states really have. Here in New Jersey, we do not. And for somebody that has been on the road quite a bit over the last couple of years, obviously, I really still have a hard time understanding why. In fact, it wasn't that long ago that Oregon was alongside us in New Jersey as the other state in which it did not allow its own drivers to refuel their own cars. That obviously has changed since then. Now New Jersey is literally the only one. And to me, I really find that to be absolutely unfair to those that really don't want to wait for the attendant and ultimately refuel their cars on their own time. I mean, literally, let's say like we are so low on fuel, we have to get somewhere, but literally we're on the cusp of that orange tick literally hitting the E on our tachometer, and literally what if we have to wait so long to have an attendant get to our car to ultimately refuel it? I find that a little bit ridiculous, and I just don't think that's fair for those that literally have to wait such a long time, especially when there are so many other cars in that station that are getting refueled. I really feel like I have to wonder what they're thinking as well, because that attendant has to really go through a lot of work just to get everybody refueled and out of there. And I have to imagine what the attendant is thinking as well, the fact that he's living in a state in which literally he's having to fuel all those cars because everybody else is not allowed to do it. And literally everybody else that works as a gas station attendant in all the other states in the United States literally are allowed to just let their drivers refuel their own cars. I mean, I feel really bad for those guys. And in fact, it's probably one of the reasons why I still have a gas station attendant as one of the worst first jobs that you can possibly have. In fact, it's probably one of the worst jobs at all, because literally you're having to run around in all of the crazy weather conditions, having to literally go around and just refueling other people's cars because for some reason New Jersey decided that it just was not going to let their own drivers do it all by themselves. Never mind that we have all the Costco's around that have their own gas stations now, especially Wawa as well and all that stuff. Even retailers that, have their own gas stations. The fact that they too have to abide by state law here in New Jersey and literally tell the drivers that they have to stay in their cars the entire time. I mean, what if they're in a hurry? Like literally, why do they have to wait this long just so that way they can have their cars refueled? I just don't understand that. It's a waste of their time, obviously, in my opinion, and more importantly, it's just makes them wait for whatever they have to get to. I mean, what do you expect them to do? Just literally risk it and just drive it until they run out of fuel and have to park on the street just so that way, they can call a tow tractor and hopefully get them to the nearest gas station? What do you expect them to do about that? It's just really unfair in my opinion. I just feel like that it may make New Jersey become the very first state in the U.S. in which the majority of its citizens literally just end up transferring to electric vehicles instead of just sticking with their regular cars. And I say that because, there are a lot more people nowadays that are owning electric cars, obviously, and a lot of them have rechargeable batteries at home, and also maybe a rechargeable battery device in their own cars in which they can really use to recharge their own car. I mean, literally, if this state law does not change, I will not be surprised if New Jersey becomes the very first state to do that instead of Michigan. I mean, literally, drivers are going to get furious that they have to wait very long to have their cars refueled. So in my opinion, I feel like that this needs to be lifted. I definitely feel like that, for drivers to really get the best experience at their gas station, they really have to be allowed to refuel their own stations. But at the same time, they need to understand the risk of doing it by themselves as well. And I feel like that has to be trained to those in the state of New Jersey. So that way, when they do get a chance to refuel their own cars, they are safe and ultimately they're getting as much fuel as they possibly can in their cars for the cheapest price possible. I mean, literally, I've seen a few videos in which somebody that, was untrained and probably shouldn't have refueled their own car ultimately was a little bit careless and stuff like that, and it caused a real major fire as a result of that. I've never seen it in person, but obviously, that's a major fear that could potentially happen. And I feel like that once that state law is lifted, whenever it is soon, I definitely feel like that training for everybody in the state of New Jersey is needed so that way they can refuel their own cars efficiently and at an affordable price. And I say affordable price because obviously, as we all know, gas prices are just a lot more expensive nowadays than ever, especially in retail. It's like BP, obviously, Shell, Wawa, as I mentioned before. There are so many gas stations, obviously, where I just feel like that prices are much higher for literally $20 or $25 regular fuel than really they should be. I definitely don't like that. And it's another reason why I think that New Jersey has such a ridiculous tax law, which they tax us a lot more than a whole bunch of other states usually do. Look, I love New Jersey. I really enjoy living in this state, and a part of me will obviously love to live here in this state for the rest of my life. But obviously, there are still some things that I just don't understand about this. And the tax law, along with the state law in regards to us not refueling our own cars, obviously, those are two things that I just have a big problem with. Every one of us literally just wants to go out there and enjoy life. We obviously want to be out there on the road, traveling to our favorite destinations, a good eats, obviously, and maybe even just have some good times with friends, obviously. But obviously, for us to have that, we need to have reliable transportation, and a lot of the times, we just drive ourselves there. And literally, the last thing you would want is to have to run out of fuel. Because obviously, I remember one time when I was going out walking, that one guy had to get help with literally having to get his car pushed to the nearest gas station there is. Because he obviously ran out of fuel trying to find some place so that way he can refuel his gas station. Two reasons why. Number one, gas prices are way too expensive, and number two, there are a ton of stations here in New Jersey in which they are literally forced to have to literally wait to get their cars refueled, and literally that amount of time, especially when the gas station is that busy, it is just time consuming. Am I saying add more gas stations in New Jersey? Absolutely not. I definitely feel like that would be a waste of money and obviously would take a lot more space, but still, it really pains me that we are the only state in the entire country that cannot be allowed to refuel our own cars, all because of some state law that really keeps us from doing so. If Oregon can go ahead and allow their people to refuel their cars, then literally it's time for New Jersey to do the same thing. It literally feels miserable being the only state in which I'm out there on the road, and I live in the only state in which I literally have to keep my butt in the car the entire time while my gas tank is being refilled, and I may not even get the entire thing filled up yet because of how ridiculous the prices are. So yeah, I'm saying this on behalf of a whole bunch of New Jerseyans here. Obviously what it's like. I feel like it's time for the state of New Jersey to listen to us and lift its law and allow us to begin refueling our gas tanks here in New Jersey. In fact, I feel like that it should happen a lot sooner than later, because the last thing we want is to end up having an empty gas tank and literally be stuck in the middle of the highway. Trust me, that is not good at all. And the one thing we just want to enjoy right now is being on the road, having fun with our friends. But we can't do that when we have a law like this that's literally affecting us from getting out and literally just taking care of everything all by ourselves. We're not going to wait very long for an attendant to get to us. It's time for New Jersey to lift its ridiculous gas law. Alright, so that's my rant for today. I do like to hear from those that are currently living in New Jersey or those that have previously lived in there. What do you think about this law in New Jersey that is preventing people from refueling their own gas tanks? And do you think personally that it is time for that to be lifted? Feel free to let me know down in the comments below and I'll be more interested in hearing your opinions about it. Anyways, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed it. As always, if you'd like to see more of my content, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when my latest video is released. Comment below for future suggestions for my videos, whether it's blogs, projects, or challenges, you name it. Leave it in the comments below and I'll do my best to make them. As always, follow me on my social media. All the links are in the description below. That's going to do it for this midweek upload. I hope you're having another great day. As always, I hope to see you all again in another video very soon. So long, everybody.